This is a producer price index by industry. General freight trucking, okay, long distance truckloads has started to come down significantly. It peaked actually in early 2022 / mid 2022, and it's been coming down, and it's showing honestly no signs of bottoming. Like, I don't know where this baby bottoms out at, but it's showing as of right now. I mean, the chart is pretty self-explanatory. It's not showing any signs of bottoming. I wouldn't be surprised if we move back to the 160, 150 range. I don't know if we're going all the way back to 130, 140. It's a possibility, but I'm pretty confident we're going back to 150, 160 here in regards to this. So if you own any companies that have to truck product around, physical products, okay? For people that own just software companies, something like that, this doesn't really matter for you. But for anybody that owns anybody that has to send product around, okay, physical product, this is meaningful to you. This matters in a significant way. Recently, what's going on here? Well, this is just your traditional, I guess you can say a semi-truck with a, a traditional, let's call it, back end to it. How do we refer to this? Okay. Non-refrigerated, non-flatbed, just your traditional semi. Okay. With one of these trailers on it, let's just call it. Okay. A box trailer. Is that the right word for it? Right. If you see the pricing, I mean, once again, and this isn't just started like this. The pricing's been going down and it's continuing to go down. And once again, it's showing no signs of a bottom as of right now. Okay. If we look at flatbed, that's the one that's been consistent, is flatbed. I wouldn't be surprised at all if flatbed starts to fall in the back half of this year, especially if construction continues to slow in a meaningful way in the back half of this year. Okay. Refrigerated continues to fall here. That's great news. So if you own any companies that have to send stuff around the United States, that let's call it a food company, and it's refrigerated food, freezer food, whatever, good sign, okay? Good sign out there. Now, if we look at year over year, right, this is van spot rates down 28% year over year here. If we look at flatbed in general, down about 20% roughly year over year here. And if we look at refrigerated, we're down about 17.5% year over year as of right now, okay? So once again, anybody that has to transport physical products around, great news, great news, great news, okay? Next up here, if you haven't seen this, this matters in a significant way. Basically, trucking companies are starting to go bankrupt. And I don't think this is the end. I think it's we're still early innings in this. I think you're going to see a lot of trucking companies, unfortunately, go under over the next 6 to 12 months. A lot of these trucking companies have been barely scraping by for the past 3 to 6 months. They've been clinging on, and basically a lot of them are over leveraged now. A lot of them bought a lot of trucks, and obviously when you see what's happened with rates, it is just continue to go down and down and down. A lot of these trucking companies aren't going to make it, okay? And so what you're going to see is massive amounts of trucking companies go under. You're going to see a lot of jobs in the trucking industry lost over this next 6 to 12 months, okay? And this is meaningful in a few ways, okay? It's going to cause a dislocation, obviously, in the market. But this is something that happens in every single boom and bust cycle. So don't think this is some freakish event. This happens all the time. Basically, trucking will get hot at a particular time if the economy is doing very, very well, right? And what happens is a lot of usually more inexperienced folks get into the trucking industry, start buying multiple trucks, hiring folks, get over leveraged. They think it's going to last forever. And this is a very commoditized industry. And so unfortunately, next thing you know, it's a bust cycle's right around the corner. It's like the boom cycle's there, and then a year or two later, you're in a bust cycle. And next thing you know, if you're over leveraged, you're going under here. And you got to understand, like, people got to make it, right? And so what happens is a lot of the trucking folks, they take any price, basically, just to take a load anywhere, right? As long as it's somewhat of a profit, because at the end of the day, it's dog-eat-dog world, right? If you don't lower your price to take that load over here, then somebody's going to come in and beat you, and you're not going to get that money, and you need that money, right? Because you're probably clinging on and barely making it. So that's the problem with the trucking industry, is it goes through these boom and bust cycles, and unfortunately, it always takes folks under in these situations, and that's something we're starting to see. And like I said, you're going to see a lot more of these stories over this next 6 to 12 months. I can tell you that much, okay? The labor market added 236,000 jobs in March. It's the lowest since 2020. as economists worry recession may be underway now, as waves of layoffs ripple through the long booming labor market. The Labor Department's job report on Friday showed a continued slowdown in employment, adding to a slew of signs this week that the economy may be cooling more quickly than believed, potentially risking the hard landing Federal Reserve officials have long tried to avoid. Now, I can tell you this, okay? It's important. If this was a normal market, I think that jobs report would have been seen as disappointing, and we'd like to see a big tank in the market on Monday, right? Because obviously the market wasn't open on Friday because it was Good Friday. So on a Monday after a jobs report in a normalized market, I think we would have saw, the Dow down 500, 600, 700 points. But we're in a different market right now, a very different market. The market wants to see this. As crazy as it sounds, the market wants to see the lowest jobs number since 2020. The market wants to see it get worse than this, believe it or not, okay? The market becomes more confident the more they start to see even potentially some job losses in a particular month rather than job gains, okay? Because at the end of the day, we've had inflation working against us, and we have to cool the economy. That's the belief, okay? I'm not saying it's a perfect scenario, but that's the belief. Fed has to continue to raise rates, cool the economy, destroy the economy, cause job losses. When you cause job losses, spending slows down significantly. When spending slows down, there's a good probability you're going to get inflation to continue to drop, right? If there's a lot of, let's say, jobs lost, then it's easier to hire employees at lower wages. Then you don't have a wage price spiral that's going on, okay? And so ultimately, it's a frustrating ordeal because some people look at it and like, I can't believe the Fed wants to destroy jobs. A lot of people look at it as it's just part of the process, and there's no way of getting around that when you have sky-high inflation like obviously we had last year, and we still have inflation that is too high now. That's the issue. We haven't fixed it. It's exciting that we might come in at a 5.2% number this month, right? Exciting. It's great progress from 9% where we were, 9 months ago or so? But gosh, 5% plus is still way too high. We need to get down to 2 to 3% range. And so we still got this gap to fill over this next 3 to 6 months to get us to that place where hopefully we're at least in the 2s and 3s. Then we're in a more normalized environment. Then we can get excited about, we fixed inflation. We slayed the dragon. But you can't get there quite yet, okay? And so that's why, I'm not even convinced the market will tank Monday. It's a possibility, but I think it's very possible the market could go up or slightly down on Monday just for the mere fact that I think the market likes this, rather than a situation where, let's say we came in at 400,000 jobs in March. I would think that situation would likely actually tank the market, believe it or not. That would have likely tanked the market because people would be like, oh my gosh, man, we're never going to slay this dragon that is inflation and the Fed that's working against us, right?